Hello, California landscapers. California Cal coming to you. Today's episode, I'm going to talk about fertilizing your roses. We know that a couple episodes ago, we stripped the roses, put them into hibernation mode, gave them a little bit of time to build up their energy reserves so that they can start the leafing process and then start the flowering process. Well, I've been walking around. I try to walk around and take a look at the rose bushes at least 3 mornings a week, and I started to see significant leafing going on, so we can't delay any longer, even though March and April are more typical times of the year for me to fertilize here. We're going to go ahead and fertilize our roses today. Let me walk you through the process and talk a little bit about the products that we use. After surveying and trying a bunch of different products in the marketplace, California Kim and I have settled in on the EB Stone line of products. So we're going to be fertilizing our roses today with their organic rose and flower food. This is mostly chicken components and bat guano. It's totally organic. It's got humic acid and a bunch of soil microbes, so it'll really encourage, the plants, when they get a taste of it, the root base will grow towards it. And that's what we really want to do, is you want the root base underneath your roses to be, if you can, 2, 3, 4 times the circumference of the plant the circumference of the plant itself above ground. And then after we work that into the soil, making sure that we've punctured the soil with the hori-hori knife, made little trenches and give a little space for water and food to drop down, we're going to cover it with some organic compost. And again, we're somewhat partial to the EB Stone organic compost, which is just a great amendment. We've used it extensively on our property to remediate the soil. And then if need be, in a couple of spots, if we have a plant that's really struggling, we will augment with some steer manure. Again, we love the EB Stone naturals. Some people are more partial to the horse manure. We've tried that a couple different times, but we found that the steer manure is just better in our particular soil. So what you want to do is I just take a simple hori-hori knife here and I try to carve a circle, and then I try to make like slats, like little slits in the ground, just by breaking it up like this. In addition to being good for aeration, what I'm doing is I'm creating a pathway for the nutrition to get down there a little bit closer to the root base and off the surface when I add the fertilizer. You can see here on one of our David Austin bare root roses, which has had a very hard time, to be honest with you. It's had a hard time in this spot. You can see that we're trying to encourage its roots to grow farther away from the plant by putting about 1.5 cups of this fertilizer in a ring going all the way around the plant. So what you want to do is you want to make sure, in order to get that fertilizer down around the root base and to encourage the roots to branch outward from the plant, you want to make sure that you fertilize in a ring like this. That too much fertilizer touching the plant could be bad for it. Could be a little bit too much. So you can see I just use a hori-hori knife and I dig. I just kind of push the soil to the side right here to make a tiny little trench, and then we put the fertilizer in there, and then I work it into the soil like this with the hori-hori knife, just to mix it in. I'm gonna, after getting the fertilizer down into the ground, we like to wet the ground down a little bit, and then cover it up with a little bit of compost. After we get a little bit of compost on top of the fertilizer, we just wet it down. Not a full soaking, just wet it down. And here is where all of that good food, I can hear the goldfinch singing. Here's where you can see all of that food. If I get in close, you can see that food, that powder, turning into a liquid, and it's falling down into the cracks, the little slits that I cut to feed each one of the plants. So enjoy your meal, guys. So that's it, California landscapers. You want to make sure that you get your roses maybe once in February, March, maybe again in July. But after you have stripped your roses down and give them a chance to hibernate for a little bit, once you see that leafing, got to make sure that you get out there and give them something good to eat. Make sure that you do your prep work ahead of time. Use a knife, a stick, a shovel, something to create some trenches in the ground and create a pathway for that nutrition to get down to the root base. Make sure that you fertilize around the edges, not right on the stem, but think about the root ball. We're not growing any of these rose bushes. We don't plan on bucketing any of these for resale. So we want the the roots to reach out underground and go as far away as they can, so in search of food and water. And then when you're all done, cover up with a little bit of compost. I suspect in maybe the next episode or the next 2 episodes, we're going to have some roses to show you. Until then, I think maybe we'll do an episode on the daffodils and the tulips, which you can see they're busy at work right behind me. Until then, happy landscaping. Many thanks to landscaper Montana Mike, who asked me for this episode. Happy landscaping. This is California Cal.